The moment the aurora shattered against the atmosphere of planet 4546b, the world turned into fire, metal, and screaming alarms. When the escape pod finally crashed into the endless ocean, the survivor awoke to a horizon made only of water, calm on the surface, yet hiding a darkness that stretched deeper than imagination. There were no landmarks, no signals, no promises of rescue. Only the sound of waves and the quiet hum of a damaged life pod trying to keep him alive. As the days passed, the ocean revealed its strange beauty: glowing reefs, floating forests of kelp, and creatures that moved like living constellations beneath the waves. But beauty did not erase the danger. Shapes circled in the murky blue. Echoes traveled through the depths that were too rhythmic, too intentional to belong to natural life. Something down below was watching, waiting, listening. While scavenging for basic resources, the survivor detected mysterious signals pulsing in patterns far too precise to be random. They seemed to be coming from beneath the ocean floor, buried deep beneath layers of rock and ancient structures. Survival was no longer just about food and water. Something artificial, something alien was calling from the abyss, and answering that call would change everything. The ocean around him seemed peaceful at first. Gentle waves, floating plants, and bright schools of fish moving like glowing ribbons through the water. But beneath the calm surface, something unusual was happening. While exploring the safe coral reef with his small scanner, a sudden pulse of sound rushed through the water. His PDA lit up with a warning he had never seen before. It wasn't a distress call, nor was it natural ocean noise. It was something structured, something intelligent. The sound repeated every few seconds, almost like a heartbeat, hiding in the depths. He returned to his life pod and fed the signal into the analyzer. Symbols began to appear on the screen, sharp lines, repeating angles, and patterns too precise to be random. The PDA struggled to interpret the language, but slowly, a strange translation began to form. Not words, but coordinates. It was as if something beneath the waves was calling out to him, marking a point far beyond the safety of the shallow reef. He felt a chill run through him. If someone or something was sending signals, that meant he wasn't alone on this planet. Curiosity pushed him forward. He repaired his small underwater vehicle and followed the coordinates into deeper waters. The sunlight faded quickly, turning the ocean into a dark blue tunnel filled with shadows. Strange creatures swam past him, glowing softly like living lanterns, guiding him deeper and deeper. The signal grew louder with every meter he descended, vibrating through the hull of his vehicle until he could almost feel it in his bones. Then, through the hazy blue darkness, a silhouette began to appear. It was massive, far larger than any natural formation he had seen before. Long metallic shapes stretched along the seafloor, like the remains of a forgotten city. Towers, walls, and geometric paths formed a pattern too perfect to be made by nature. The structure looked ancient, yet untouched by time. The signal he followed was coming from its heart, beating steadily like a silent guardian waiting to be found. He parked his vehicle and swam closer, feeling the cold water tighten around him. The surface of the structure was smooth and dark, covered in glowing lines that flickered as he approached. It was clear now. This was not human. This material, this design, this energy, none of it belonged to any technology he knew. The realization hit him hard. This planet wasn't just home to strange creatures. It held secrets built by a civilization far older and far more advanced. Inside his helmet, his breathing grew heavier. The signal suddenly shifted as if reacting to his presence. The glowing lines brightened, forming a path leading into the depths of the structure. It wasn't just a message, it was an invitation or a warning. Either way, he knew there was no turning back. Somewhere inside that ancient underwater temple, the truth about the signal, and perhaps the mystery of the entire planet, was waiting for him. He followed the glowing path of the map into a region where light itself seemed afraid to enter. The water grew colder, darker, heavier. Strange formations rose like black towers around him, guiding him toward a deep cavern slit open in the ocean floor. As he descended, his floodlights caught glimpses of symbols carved into the stone. Patterns too precise, too elegant to be natural. Whatever built this place had shaped the planet long before humans ever dreamed of reaching the stars. The cave opened into a vast chamber lit by a soft green pulse, like a slow heartbeat. Suspended in the water were metallic structures fused seamlessly into the rock, humming with a power that felt ancient yet alive. When he approached, the walls shifted, revealing sleek surfaces and geometric panels that moved on their own. This wasn't a ruin, it was a functioning facility. Something down here had survived thousands of years without rusting, breaking, or stopping. Then he saw it, a massive cube-like device floating in the center of the room, connected to dozens of glowing veins embedded in the walls. As he drew closer, the object awakened with a soft chime. The panels opened like petals, revealing a core of swirling teal energy. A voice, not spoken, but felt, echoed inside his mind. It wasn't human. It wasn't even trying to sound human. It was the voice of something watching and waiting. The series of holographic symbols projected around him. They moved in patterns he didn't recognize, but the meaning was strangely clear. This intelligence had been monitoring the planet, collecting data, and studying intruders, him included. For a moment, panic surged through his body, but then a gentle wave of calm washed over him, as if the machine was reassuring him, "You are not in danger." Yet, he realized that the cells were not biological at all, but fragments of a vast, ancient network. Tiny processors distributed across the planet, communicating like neurons in a cosmic brain. And this chamber was one of its central nodes. As he touched a nearby panel, images flashed before him. Blueprints of structures, maps of regions he had never visited, and glimpses of colossal creatures that roamed the deep. But the final image froze him in fear. A hologram of a spreading infection, branching through the planet like a glowing green fire. A virus, a planetary sickness. And the message was clear. The creators of this facility had tried to stop it and failed. Whatever happened here long ago was far bigger than a ship crash, bigger than survival. This was a mystery written into the ocean itself. The moment he activated the central console, a soft hum vibrated through the chamber, followed by a holographic projection that shimmered to life before his eyes. Strange glyphs spiraled around him like drifting currents, slowly rearranging into symbols he could finally understand. The message was simple and terrifying. The planet was infected. Not just the waters, not just the creatures, everything. A deadly microorganism known as Kara had once swept across entire star systems, wiping out civilizations faster than they could defend themselves. Now, that same plague lived quietly beneath the waves, waiting for its next victim. As he moved deeper through the hall, he found more evidence. Walls etched with warnings, abandoned laboratories frozen in time, and shattered containers that once held biological samples. Each step painted a clearer picture of the ancient race that had lived here, a species advanced beyond imagination, capable of building oceanside fortresses and star-piercing technology. Yet even they, with all their brilliance, had failed to stop the virus. They tried everything: quarantine fields, genetic experiments, global cleansing systems, and all of it still collapsed. The silence of the ruins spoke louder than any message. Kara was unstoppable. But then, tucked behind a reinforced chamber, he discovered something completely different. A pod, still active, held recordings from the last surviving scientists. Their holographic figures flickered with desperation and determination. They spoke of a final hope, a potential cure hidden deep within the ecosystem itself. A creature immune to Kara, a creature powerful enough to survive the planet's hostile evolution. They called it the Emperor, not a ruler of people, but of life. A gentle, ancient being whose enzymes held the key to neutralizing the plague. The recordings took a darker turn. The scientists described their attempts to breed and study the Emperor's young. Their urgency pushed them to isolate the creature, confining it in a massive underwater sanctuary. Over time, the Emperor weakened, unable to communicate with its children or complete its natural cycle. The scientists had not intended cruelty, but fear had driven them to unimaginable choices. Their voices cracked in the final logs, torn between scientific duty and regret for what they had done. The survivor stepped back, overwhelmed by the truth. His own symptoms, fatigue, strange headaches, minor skin irritation, suddenly made sense. He wasn't just stranded on an alien world. He was living inside a planetary quarantine. The virus had already reached him, silently shaping his fate from the moment he landed. Every breath he took was a gamble. Every dive brought him closer to his own destruction. But now, with the Emperor's secret revealed, he finally had a path forward, a mission greater than survival. He left the chamber with a new sense of purpose. The ocean outside didn't feel like a vast, unpredictable wilderness anymore. It felt like a living patient, sick, suffering, slowly collapsing under the weight of a forgotten plague. And he was the only one who could help heal it. The cure existed somewhere in the depths, and if the ancient civilization couldn't finish the task, then he would. He had no weapons, no allies, no guarantee of escape, but he had hope. And sometimes, hope was the only thing strong enough to push someone deeper into the unknown. The deeper the survivor descended into the alien ocean, the more he realized that the cure for the Kara virus was not hidden in metal chambers or forgotten technology. It lived. Strange creatures began to react to him in unexpected ways. Some fled at the slightest sound. Others circled him with curious, almost intelligent movements. Patterns emerged. Certain species carried traces of an enzyme that weakened the virus, but none carried enough to stop it. Yet every clue pointed toward a single being whispered about in ancient records: the Sea Emperor, a creature said to be older than the oceans themselves. As he explored jagged caverns and glowing trenches, the water around him shifted from vibrant blues to intimidating greens. Predators lurked everywhere. Leviathans roared through the currents, their shadows stretching across entire biomes. He had no choice but to rely on stealth and speed, maneuvering through tight coral tunnels while his oxygen dropped dangerously low. Every second felt borrowed, every dive a gamble. But with each close escape, he gathered fragments of enzyme samples and ancient writings linking all evidence back to the same mythical guardian. The turning point came when he discovered a sealed chamber carved into the seabed, wrapped in massive roots that pulsed with energy. Inside, murals told the story of the ancient alien race, how they tried to cure the virus, how they captured the Sea Emperor, and how everything went terribly wrong. The creature was not a monster, but a key, a living generator of the enzyme, a possible cure. Following a narrow passage beneath the murals, he finally reached a vast open cavern. The water felt warmer, calmer, almost welcoming. Then the darkness swirled, and from its heart emerged an enormous silhouette. Two golden eyes opened, glowing softly through the shadows. The creature was massive, majestic, and impossibly gentle despite its size. Instead of attacking, it approached with slow, deliberate grace, as if it had been waiting for him. Through a mix of sound, movement, and bioluminescent pulses, the Sea Emperor communicated thoughts rather than words. It showed visions of its imprisoned offspring, of the attempts to synthesize a cure, and of the ancient civilization's failure. The creature was dying, its species fading, yet its final eggs held the key to ending the infection on the entire planet. But to release that cure, the eggs needed help only he could give. But he was not alone in this race. Strange disturbances echoed through the caverns, signs that another force had entered the area. Something or someone was tracking the same signals he followed. Whether corporate scavengers, rogue survivors, or infected creatures drawn by instinct, he could not tell. What he did know was simple. Whoever reached the Sea Emperor's secret first would decide the fate of the entire planet, and maybe the universe beyond it. The moment the survivor understands how to release the cure, the weight of the truth hits him like a tidal wave. Activating the process means triggering the ancient machinery buried deep beneath the ocean floor, machines designed to spread the cure across the entire planet. But once activated, the facility will seal itself shut for weeks, maybe months. By choosing this path, he sacrifices any chance of escape in the near future, trapping himself on a world that has nearly killed him 100 times. The thought of staying alone, with no guarantee of survival, sends a heavy chill through his chest. He rises slowly from the console, the green symbols glowing beneath his hands, and looks around the dim chamber. The Sea Emperor's soft, echoing voice fills the room, urging patience, urging hope. She tells him that the ocean has waited centuries for this moment, waited for someone brave enough to finish what her species began. Her massive form circles gently outside the transparent chamber wall, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing like a heartbeat. The survivor realizes that this isn't just about curing the planet. It's about giving an entire ecosystem a second chance. His fingers hover over the activation panel. A simple press. That's all it takes. One movement, and the cure will begin its spread, cleansing the oceans, healing the creatures, restoring balance. But pressing it also means accepting every danger that still lurks outside. Leviathans, crushing depths, starvation, storms, the virus itself. The escape pod he once saw as salvation now feels like a distant memory. If he chooses this path, no rescue ship will ever come in time. He must become a part of the planet he once feared. As he hesitates, his mind flashes back to every moment since the crash. The first dive into the shallow reefs, the nights spent in the cold, dark water, the moments where death felt inches away. He remembers each creature that helped him, hurt him, or simply watched him in silence. Somewhere in those memories, he finds a strange truth. This world did not try to kill him. It simply demanded respect. And somewhere along the way, he grew to respect it back, maybe even care for it. The room vibrates as the Sea Emperor releases a low, mournful hum. She reminds him that her children and every creature infected will die without his decision. He looks into her glowing, ancient eyes and sees something he didn't expect: trust. A creature older than civilizations, trusting a fragile human to save her world. The survivor breathes deeply, feeling the fear loosen its grip. Perhaps some choices are not about survival. Perhaps some choices define who we become. Finally, he lowers his hand and presses the activation panel. The chamber erupts with a soft blue light as the cure begins to flow through the ancient pipes and vents. Outside, the waters shimmer with life. The Sea Emperor sings a final, powerful note, a farewell and a blessing. As the doors seal shut behind him, trapping him inside the facility, he sits down slowly, exhausted but certain. He may not escape today, he may not escape tomorrow, but he has saved a world, and for the first time since the crash, he feels at peace. The ocean slowly transforms after the cure is released, as if the entire planet takes its first clean breath in centuries. Colors return to the reefs. Once silent waters begin to stir with new life, and the great currents carry the healing energy across every biome. The survivor watches these changes from the shore of a calm lagoon, realizing he is witnessing the rebirth of a world that almost died in darkness. The sea, once a place of fear and mystery, now feels alive, grateful even, as though it remembers the one who helped save it. When the ancient gateway finally activates and the shimmering portal opens, it stands like a promise of home. He steps forward, feeling the weight of everything he has endured: isolation, danger, wonder, and the quiet strength that comes from surviving the impossible. Yet as he looks once more at the endless blue horizon, he understands something deeper. This planet no longer feels foreign. Its creatures, its ruins, its secrets, everything he fought to protect has woven itself into his story. Leaving now would mean abandoning a world that still needs him. So he makes his choice. The portal closes, the ocean breeze rises, and he returns to the water with calm resolve. He is not just a castaway anymore. He is the keeper of the cure, the guardian of the deep, and the silent witness to a planet's new beginning. Beneath the waves, his journey continues, one with the sea, watching over the mysteries that lie far below the surface.